Thank you for joining me for another Lead in the Moment conversation. Things only get better when we get better, is a Tony Robbins quote I found on my Instagram account this morning. And of course, Tony Robbins is right. We tend to depersonalize the need for change and put the focus on things that have to get better, or the system has to be improved. And of course, there is a need for systemic change. That's vital, it's crucial. But there is a danger in focusing on systemic change at the expense of personal change. We tend to dehumanize the locus of change. After all, it's people who make up the system. It's people who design the system and control the system. The system reflects our values, so the system will only get better when we get better. But the Tony Robbins quote can be expanded to, and we will only get better when me gets better. So what can I do to get better in the area of fairness? I would suggest there are three important distinctions that we need to clarify. The first is, fairness and equality are not the same. It isn't fair to treat somebody who's made a major contribution and carries the weight of the team on their shoulders equally to those who are having free rides and making no contribution at all. Fairness means treating people according to what they deserve and not according to who they are. Secondly, holding somebody responsible for what they do is different from holding them responsible for who they are. The first is accountability. The second, discrimination. The third point is that sympathy is not the same as empathy. Sympathy comes from a place of, I'm okay, you're not okay. I understand your pain. I can get that you're not okay, even though I'm all right. But empathy is, we're both not okay. I too carry pain. I too have suffered, maybe not in the same way as you have, maybe not to the same extent as you're suffering, but I can relate to what you're going through, and I can feel it and be there with you in that suffering and in that hurt. Some of the most amazing people I've met professionally have been Black people who suffered during the apartheid years in South Africa. Among them was Nelson Mandela himself and many others. And I found it difficult at first to empathize with them. I was clearly able to sympathize. But as a privileged white South African who had never experienced racism or anti-Semitism, I found it difficult to truly empathize. I had to dig into my own experience and find occasions where, as a child or as a student, I felt excluded, not for racial reasons, but at least I could access that feeling of exclusion so that my empathy came from an emotional place, not from a clinical, cold, intellectual and rational place. And so we need to understand the difference between sympathizing from a position of superiority to empathizing from a position of identification. So apart from the systemic changes that we have to make, what can we do to help make things better? We can make sure always to act fairly, to hold people responsible for their actions, but never for their race, religion, or gender. We can empathize, not just sympathize. And as me gets better, we get better. And as we get better, things get better.